The big question that our audience here and those who are tuning in across the BT Meltverse would want me to begin with uh, is sustainability crucial to profitability, especially in the Indian context? Because globally, I think there is a sustained move towards that, but there is a bit of a doubt as far as India is concerned.
Sure. Thank you, Siddharth, and thanks again for having me. While I appreciate your introduction, I also want to say I'm from Mumbai. I grew up here, so this is my hometown, and I'm very happy to be here. So I would say that maybe give you a little context of what's going on globally, and then maybe talk a little bit about what that may mean for Indian managers, Indian investors. So sustainable investing, and it can be defined very broadly. The first key tenet is that when we talk historically, and sometimes even in India, when we talk about sustainability, the immediate mindset is, oh, CSR, this is trying to do good for the world, this may come at a cost of profits. And I think it's important that just to, at least all my comments are going to be on the basis that sustainability is not about sacrificing profits. Sustainability is not about doing the impact maybe that they may be good for the world, but it's not about that. It's about good business. And since we are at business today, and I keep on seeing at the back over here this little bori with rupees and all that in there, this is about increasing the size of that packet in the medium to long term. So that is the basic tenet that I think has been kind of now established internationally. Nearly about 35 to 40% of all investors, and this is nearly $35–40 trillion, if you look at the equity market, about 100 trillion plus, about 35% of it has some sort of a sustainable angle. And just to take a supplement to the previous panel, which was focusing on risk, a lot of that is around risk. But I want to talk about the fact that investors see this as an enormous opportunity. If you just take one aspect of sustainability, which is climate, I mean, there's, as you know, ESG is environment, societal, and governance. But if you take one sliver of that, which is the environment and climate, the energy transition investment opportunity for investors is one of the biggest wealth creation opportunities, the title of this conference, that the world sees. And it manifests itself in various ways. And I think investors are starting to see that, appreciate that. It's a huge source of alpha. And I think it's going to start trickling it down to India as well. I think Dinesh at the previous panel, towards the end, I just heard that our company is being rewarded for that. We've done a lot of studies at the Harvard Business School over a period of time, and this is for publicly traded companies, where while there may be some near-term profit hit, because it's like an investment, you're making an investment in the future, that the multiples of companies that have a sustainable glide path, if you will, trade at a much higher multiples. And I'll give an example of utilities. So, utilities, the power generating companies are some of the highest polluters because historically they've been based on thermal power, coal power, gas power. And if you look at the utilities which have proactively moved from sourcing their energy to create electricity from coal-based or gas-based to renewable-based, even though the near-term profits over 5 years may be less, their stock prices have significantly outperformed the ones that have not. And I think you're starting to see that in India as well. I would say that in the interactions that we've had with companies over here, especially the larger ones, I think kind of get it. The smaller companies will say, well, we've got so many other problems in India. What is this ESG stuff and why do we need to bother? I mean, I totally get that. But I think about it in the context that this is, when we talk about sustainability, it means that your company could actually go out of existence if you don't do something about it. And particularly in the context of climate. I'll stop there for a second if you have follow-on questions.
Yes.
But climate particularly is an issue which maybe we want to focus on in this session. Climate is a slow burn. While we have here also in India, and I'll give a macro setting, in India people talk about, well, the West created this problem. All the carbonization emissions have been created because of the industrialization of the West. We've just come from this COP28 in Dubai, which is a big debate. And all that is true. But the fact is, and some of that should be paid for by the North to the global South, clearly. But I think what we have to recognize, and you as citizens, senior leaders of business, is that the actual biggest negative impact is going to be on places like India. I mean, Mumbai is viewed as one of the top 10 cities to be submerged in the next 25 years because of a combination of cyclone intensity, water level high, and the concentration of the monsoon compared to other cities in the world. So while we can talk about it, every citizen here and business have to do something about it.
And on a planetary scale, 25 years is not even an instant. You gave me several points, but I just want to quickly take COP, the conference. Do you think it delivered on the expectations in terms of moving the world towards more climate sustainability?
So the thing is that COP28 kind of final declaration still is being debated. I mean, as we speak, it was supposed to have been done on Sunday. And then some countries said, well, we wanted to take out the word of, reduction or the fossil fuels. So that debate is still going on. But I think there was some good progress made on this whole issue of how do we raise the finance and climate, financing this climate transition. I think that was very good. I think these conferences help moving people in the right direction. I think there's been a lot of criticism about the conference having, being in the UAE, being the CEO, being a head of an oil company, the person who's the chair of the conference, that what are all these oil companies doing, the lobbyings are there. But the fact is, it's like you can put your head in the sand that I don't want to deal with oil companies and I don't want to do this and I don't want that. They're here to stay.